Righty, tighty, lefty, loosey. Here we are in YouTube. I'm really trying to get into YouTube a little bit. Keep trying to figure out different things to talk about. And obviously I want to help people. I want to democratize brand design. I want to help people understand branding better so they can make better decisions. And I think a lot of that does tend to start with the foundations. So this little graphic, which should be up, like, is it this side, Timmy, or is it this side? It's this side. So there's a little graphic here, which I built many moons ago, and I've visualized it or reimagined it in the new Real Brand Life MBJ Punky is Funky color system. And it is this idea of distinguishing between the differences and the slight nuances, and it's all semantics essentially, but the difference between a logo, a visual identity, a brand identity, a brand and branding. Now with the internet, the way the internet is, it's very easy for, what's the best way to say this, Timmy, without being an idiot? There's lots of people who don't know what they're talking about. I think is the best way to suggest this. And there's also a lot of people, because there's a lot of designers teaching designers, strategists teaching strategists, everybody's trying to out-clever each other. And the beautiful thing for you is I'm not very clever. And I'm always trying to make stuff super simple so my clients understand it. And this visual is something that I've shared with many of them so they can kind of understand the importance of brand building and the process of branding, and why they probably need something more than just a logo. So this graphic here is a nice, simple visual way of explaining that a logo is one part of a visual identity, and the visual identity is one part of a brand's identity, and the brand's identity is what helps shape a brand. And then the process of all of that coming together is branding, which is the process like I suggested. So this has always been, like I said, a really good way of just being able to articulate to my clients the importance and the differences between each of these elements. So I'm just going to read this little below bit before I rant on a little bit more. So a logo is just one part of the visual identity. A visual identity is one part of the brand's identity. The brand's identity builds the recognizable reputation, which is the brand, and then branding is the ongoing act of building that reputation. All right, so a logo. Now, many of you listening to this will all have an idea of what a logo is, and it's probably incredibly accurate. So a logo is this recognizable mark that distinguishes you from your competitors. So you think of the Apple, you think of the Nike swoosh, you think of like the little Made by James monogram or his type mark. That is what we would all consider a logo. But there are also many different types of logos. You've got like monograms, like I've mentioned, which are like, a monogram is actually a really interesting one, because a monogram itself is actually the combination of two or more letters. So a monogram could be 4 letters, it could be 5 letters, it could be 6 letters kind of intertwined. Many people think it's just 2 letters, but it's not. It's actually many more than 2, which is the differentiation. But you've also got word marks, you've got characters, mascots, you know, you've got different styles like monoline or negative space or geometric, isometric. There's loads of different styles, but that was what we would consider as a logo, and that logo is generally always, I should say, not generally, I'm going to mess it up as well now, Timmy, but it's always a part of a visual identity. And when we think of a visual identity, these are the things that I would probably consider you visually recognize as a part of a brand's kind of ecosystem, visual ecosystem. So you think of the typography they use, you think of the color combinations they use, you think of the logo, you think potentially of the illustrations, but you also have things like photography style. You also start to in here think about the kind of systems and layout of stuff as well, icon sets, basically anything that you can see, packaging, website, like all of this. Anything you can see with your eyes is a part of a visual identity. Okay, so that again is a part of a brand identity. Visual identity is just one part of a brand's identity, and I'm actually going to go through a in like the next video we're going to do, I'm going to go through a totally different little kind of tutorial about this, deeper into kind of a brand's identity. But when I think of like a brand identity, I think it consists of like 6 major parts that almost every brand will have to kind of adhere to and work with, and those 6 main things are the visual identity, one part, and there's 6 of them like I mentioned. The verbal identity, that's 2. You've got the product or service, that's number 3. You have the personality, is 4. You have the story, which is 5, and then you have the name, which is 6. Those are the 6 things that I would consider the key parts or the integral parts of a brand's identity. Now, like whether you are in the hospitality space or product space, there's probably a few more that you would generally think about, and those would be sensory, things like smell and all of that, things like Chanel's and perfumes and things like that. You know, when you're working, I mean, you're a bit of a hipster, Timmy. You know, when you walk into Hollister to get your skinny jeans.
Always.
Yeah. You know this.
You can't get me out of there.
Yeah. You're one of their models, I seem to remember. Yeah. I've seen you in there. You got that kind of gaunt, ghostly look that they go after.
Hollister.
Yeah, but they all smell a certain way, and their lights are dimmed. Do you know what I mean? So that is where that's a part of their brand's identity. Their smell, their sensory kind of environment is a part of their brand identity. But that is again, I don't have apart from the odd bit of BO, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't have a sensory. I mean, we're going to keep that in, I don't care, do you know what I mean? But my point is like, there's sensory and there's sonic as well, do you know what I mean? So sonic is sound. So you think about when you open your laptop, when you like turn on Netflix, you know, even my son now goes ba-boom. You know, he's like 3 and he goes boom. I'm like, sonic branding, so good. But those 2 are kind of more add-ons to other products and bits and pieces like and other services. But those 6 main ones I talked about, the visual identity, the verbal identity, the name and product, the name and service, product, personality and story, those are the main 6 that we all as the general public punters need to think about. And what they do is they shape our brand. And now for me, a brand is a recognizable reputation. Okay, now I'm going to go much deeper into this in other videos, so I'm not going to do it now because we don't have long enough. But just to kind of make you very, very aware that this whole video was just to show you how the different elements and the different parts all slot into each other. So just to recap, because keep babbling on because I like babbling on, but your logo is a part of your visual identity. So your logo is one part of your visual identity. Your visual identity is one part of your brand's identity, and your brand identity is what helps you shape that reputation, that recognizable reputation, which is your brand. All right, and all of that all of that lovely, juicy goodness, all of that stuff I do as a designer, brand designer, all that stuff that we experience every day is done and completed through the continuous, ever-evolving process of branding. All right, so I'm going to put a little download link to this graphic so you can keep it, put it on your wall, do whatever you like. But I hope that brings some clarity to you as a founder, to you as a marketer, to you as a designer. Use this to articulate what you do, and I hope it is helpful. And the next time a client potentially comes to you and says, I want you to work on my brand and I want a mascot, you can go, that is just a logo, my friend. That is not a brand. And you have a clear visual to explain it all. All right? Babble done? Bounce and rants?
Bounce and rants done.
Bounce and rants done. Have a good day.